to another mood reading vlog. Okay, I've been in a slump, as we all know. I'm crawling my way out, slowly but surely, but I think what we need is a little bit of mood reading. I've had a couple of guests in town. You guys will have already seen these videos where my sister picked my TBR, my friend Emily picked my TBR, and now I just have this really big TBR, which is great because I read a lot of books, but I think I want to try to do a video where there's more than just the average 3 books, just so I can, like, not overwhelm you guys with videos, and I don't want to get filming way too far ahead. So I think we're just gonna do some mood reading. And I think the book that we're gonna start with, because I just got my audio hold for, is this one, which is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And Emily did say that she would suggest that I do listen to this one on audio. Other books that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna read in this video are Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, probably The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, probably maybe Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. So I'm gonna just be kind of a mood reading off of my TBR. I'm not gonna really allow myself to go too far out of my TBR. Maybe if I get like a skip the line for something on Libby, we'll allow that. But overall, I'm gonna try to stay in the lane of what's on my TBR because there's quite a few books. So this is where we're gonna start with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And I feel like this book is super hyped up, and I believe this is like a magical realism-esque book, which is something I love, and I'm obsessed with the cover of this book. It's so simple but so effective. So let's get into it. I don't know how long we're gonna go for this mood reading vlog. Today is September 23rd, but I'm gonna start on the conditions of will. Do I know that I'm gonna like this? No, but I just DNF'd a book, and I need something that's totally different vibes, and all of the books I have available right now on Libby, and I'm working right now, they're not bringing joy. This is a romance, and I've previously DNF'd Magnolia Parks, but I'm not sure. I may have like not DNF'd it if I listened to it on audio, but I DNF'd it while I was reading it. It had footnotes in it, and I hate a footnote, but everybody loves this book. It has a crazy good rating. It's a 13-hour audiobook, and I got a skip the line copy of it, and it's duet narration, which I don't think I've ever read before. So this is what we're gonna start with, and I think we're gonna probably read a lot of books in this. I think I might start this as like a monthly thing, as once a month film a just mood reading vlog, and so anything that I just read for fun, for the vibes, will just go in here. So I think this will take us through, I think I'm just gonna run this through the end of October. So I'm just gonna come chat to you guys about the books, because I would say we're probably gonna have like 7 or 8 books in this video, and so I don't think we need b-roll. Okay, this is definitely not what I was reading. I DNF'd Conditions of Will after like 15%, because I just couldn't pay attention to it, and I just didn't care. So we're moving on to this one, which is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. I just got the skip the line audio for this, and because this is a book that I actually own, I'm more inclined to like want to read it. As far as I know, this is a dystopian sci-fi book, and it says, on an unnamed island, objects are disappearing. Hats, then ribbons, birds, roses. Most of the inhabitants are oblivious to these changes. Will those few to recall the lost objects live in fear of the memory police, who are committed to ensuring what has disappeared remains forgotten. When a young writer discovers that her editor is in danger, she concocts a plan to hide him beneath her floorboards, and together they cling to her writing as the last way of preserving the past. It's a novel about trauma and loss. So I am excited to read it. I like a dystopian book. This was originally published before I was born, so in Japanese. I historically have a really bad reputation with reading translated from Japanese books. I've pretty much hated all of them, but here's to hoping this one's different. If I all of a sudden look exceptionally better, it's got a fresh hair highlight. Oh yeah, baby. But we are about 60% of the way into The Memory Police, and you guys, I'm loving this. I don't know that it's going to be a 5-star because I don't feel super like attached to these characters, but I am loving this. So in this story, names of characters, we don't have those, and I actually don't know if we've heard any names of anybody. Anywho, in the story we have our main character, and this takes place in this dystopian world on this island where memories are starting to disappear. First, it's hats, then ribbons, then birds, then roses, and like one day they will just, the like enforcer people will just, the memory police will just decide that the certain thing. Like, for example, one of the things was calendars. They've decided they're getting rid of calendars, so everybody has to burn all of their calendars, and then slowly the memory of it starts to fade. But there are some people in this society who aren't affected by these memories being erased. They retain their memories, and they've come up with like technology to read people's DNA to figure out like the biological reason making these people not forget things. So then they round up these people, imprison them, kill them, and all of these things. So our main character is basically like hiding somebody in her like floor, like she has like a secret room underneath her floorboards where she is hiding somebody who has retained memories along in there, because I think her mother also retained memories and was killed with some of her mom's things that would be destroyed if found. So he is underneath there and slowly is trying to help people remember these things that have been uncovered. He is her editor, she is a writer, but nobody really reads anymore, and she is basically hiding him in her floorboards to protect him from the memory police. And they come knocking door to door. When they come to your door, they make you stand with your hands behind your head and they search your house. So every time they come, she's just hoping and praying they don't look underneath the rug to see the hidden door. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this. It's a great time so far. I'm deeply fighting the lighting right now because where I was originally going to film this, the blinds were an issue. But I did finish the memory police, and I did give this 4 stars. I'm not going to say too much more about it because there were some like crazy things towards the end that were absolutely wild behavior. But if you are somebody, my favorite classic is The Giver. And if you like The Giver, you will like this. It's again, they're both dystopians having to do with memory, so I feel like it's easy to compare the two of them. This also says this has the themes of 1984 and Fahrenheit 141 and 100 Years of Solitude. I don't know what, I've never read any of those. I've never even heard of the 100 Years of Solitude, but 4 stars, I quite liked it. And then the next book we're gonna get into is this. This is gonna be my first Sally Rooney. And this is Intermezzo, and this is the book that's due next on Libby. So I don't think I'm not listening to any of this today. I know that for a fact. And I don't even know, tomorrow I have a busy day, so I'm not sure that I will be, this is like split up into parts. I don't know that I'm going to really read much of this tomorrow either, but whenever I have some idea of what it's even about, I will come back to you with that information. This mood reading vlog is going bad, guys, because I think I'm going to DNF this. I don't know. I don't care about any of it. I don't like it. I'm not having fun. It is so long. It's 450 pages, and I'm not having fun. And I gave it a good shot. I'm like 30% of the way in, and I'm just so fucking bored. So bored. So I think I just have to DNF it, because the idea of continuing it is making me want to DIE. We have like these 2 brothers and their dad just died, and it's just so monotonous and boring. We're just following their 2 lives. There's these really like weird, uncomfy sex scenes that feel super out of place, and I just can't do it, to the point that I don't even want to listen to anything for the rest of the day. Tomorrow I'm gonna go help out my friend at her business, and then I'm gonna listen to this tomorrow, and hopefully it's good, because I'm sick of this reading month. It's been so bad. I could cry and die, and ugh, I'm so mad. I'm just so mad. Okay, guys, we finished Addie LaRue, and there's this YouTuber Lexi. I actually don't know her whole handle name. I just know her name's Lexi. And she refers to this book as the Midi Life of Midi Lamid, and I think that that's being generous, because I think it's the boring life of Bordy the Bored. I did not like this. I gave it 2 stars, and I really wanted to, but it was just so boring. And so in this book, we have our main character, Addie. And Addie is from the 1700s in France, and she's gonna be married off. She doesn't want to be married off, and they have this like neighbor who like is always praying to the gods and telling her to pray to the gods, blah blah blah. And so she prays to the wrong gods because the sun's going down, and it's like the gods of the night, and they're bad. They're basically like the devils. And so she makes this essentially a deal with the devil that when she's done with her soul, he can have her soul. So if she doesn't have to like get married off and do all these things. So naturally, he kind of warps that and essentially makes it so that she's gonna live forever. She can't die, but nobody's gonna remember her. It's basically like somebody walks into the room, she introduces herself to them, and then the second she's out of their eyesight, they forget who she is. So her family doesn't remember her. She can't like hold relationships. She can't keep a job. She can't even keep like a place to live because people don't remember that she lives there. And it's this whole thing, and then like 300 years later, she comes across this guy, and he can remember her. And literally in that moment when he like is able to remember her, in my head I'm like, this is why he remembers her. And so when it was revealed as to why and how he can remember her, I'm like, yeah, that was painfully obvious. And just like everything in this book felt so painfully obvious the entire time I was reading it. I'm like, yeah, like what other option was there? So I gave it 2 stars, and I did not like it. I don't recommend it. It's a bad first introduction to V.E. Schwab, and no. The answer is just no, I don't like it. Not a fan, not liking it at all. So next up today, it's about 1 o'clock. I'm gonna be working for probably the rest of the day, and I'm definitely gonna read the whole thing. This is A Brush with Love by Mazey Eddings. Hopefully I'll come and give you guys some information midway through. I was not home. I was actually doing what we've been jokingly referring to being a seasonal employee at my best friend's small business yesterday. She needed some help, and so I listened to that there, and I didn't want to film anything in like her place of work. So I didn't give you any updates, but I am gonna start this. The book's only barely 300 pages, so it shouldn't be too terribly difficult to get through, but that's the plan of action. Okay, I don't know when I'm gonna start this, but I do think that Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid is going to be the next book that we read for this mood reading vlog, and I'm very excited about it. We need no more DNFs, okay? So this is high up on the list right now. I don't have anything. I'm waiting on audiobooks for most of the other books on my TBR, which is really frustrating, but this one I do have. So we will get into it. You guys, this book bamboozled me because this has been a series of like cowboy yeehaw romances, and this is a hockey romance in the middle of this series. But this is book 3 of the Chestnut Springs series, and I'm really, really liking it. This is about Jasper and Sloan, and basically Jasper, every time I start one of these books I have to look up the family tree because my brain cannot remember. But Jasper is basically like, there's the like main family. I don't know their name. I'm horrible at this. You know, there's the main family. I want to say it's the Eaton family, but that could be wrong. Eaton, E-A-T-O-N. But I might be getting confused with the Eden family. So I don't know. But there's the family in this, and they have like all of their kids, and they're like whatever. And then there's Jasper, and his parents basically like abandoned him, and this family took them in. And then our female character Sloan is cousins with the main family, so they kind of grew up together. They've known each other since I think she was like 10 or so, and he was like in high school because he's a few years older than her. And basically they've known each other forever, and they've kind of had feelings for each other on and off throughout the years. And Sloan is getting married to somebody whose last name is Woodcock, which is horrible. And it's her wedding day, and basically a couple days before her wedding, he basically is like, are you happy? And she's like, oh, you're asking me this now? He's like, has anybody asked you? And she's like, nobody's asked me. It's been a really quick engagement, and you know, she's obviously not happy. She comes from a very wealthy, powerful family, and her family is basically forcing her into this marriage. She does not want to marry him, but she feels like she has to. It's of obligation. It's kind of like an arranged marriage, but he sucks. he's very condescending, very, like, thinks men are better than women, and he's just horrible vibes. Jasper is an NHL player, and basically the day of her wedding, somebody anonymously sends her a video of her fiance having sex with another woman. So she's like, at this point, she's like, I was more embarrassed than anything, and that's why I knew I needed to go. She becomes a runaway bride. Jasper saves the day, and he takes her back to his family house. I just want to see what's, like, said in this. Okay, no, that doesn't say on the back, but whenever they get back to the house after he saves her from her wedding, his dad's there, and he gives him some kind of devastating, earth-shattering news, and Sloane is there for him. Like, she is his rock, and she is his person, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm only at 23% of this book. It is a bit, like, around 500 pages, but so far I'm really, really liking this. This is, like, childhood friends to lovers, sports romance. There's, like, kind of, like, a little mystery going on right now, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm intrigued to see what happens, but so far I'm really liking it, and I really like both Jasper and Sloane. So, I think this is my favorite. I really did like Heartless because I like a single dad romance, but the way he talked all the time about Willa being younger than him was actually annoying. So, that one I gave a 4. Do I think I'm going to give this one a 5? Maybe. Who knows? But we're going to continue onward. Okay, guys, we've got some catching up to do. I did just start this. I'm not super far into it, so I don't really, like, know a ton. Mainly in this book, we have our main character, Joan, and she has spent her whole life wanting to be an astronaut. She applied for the first ever space mission that they were allowing women to apply to, and she did not get in, but then she applied to the second one, and she got in, and where we're at right now, she is in the training camp. We're getting, her point of view, and we're seeing a lot of her relationship with her sister and her niece. Her sister's name is Barbara, her niece's name is Frances, and her sister kind of sucks, and she's kind of like a bossy bitch, and she's, like, kind of mean. Yeah, so far it's very much just like we're hearing her story, hearing about all the people she's at the training camp with, and she's training for her mission to space. And so far, so good. Can't really complain. But I did want to mention, I read 2 other books. I listened to an audiobook on my way home from Dallas this past weekend. Oh, I don't have my phone. It was called... So I feel like Atmosphere is one of those books that's gonna feel kind of like I feel like it's gonna, like, I know this book makes everybody cry, and I feel like it's one of those books that's gonna be like, I don't realize how much I'm connecting to these characters until closer to the end. I am currently like a 1/4 of the way in, so it's literally not much other than this situation. It's the summer of 1980. Oh my god, I can see something out of the corner of my eye, like foil everywhere. She's going to the Houston Training Center. Mission specialist Lydia Dane, who worked too hard to play nice. Warm-hearted Donna, navigating her own secrets. And Vanessa Ford, the magnetic and mysterious engineer. I think her and Vanessa are the ones who end up being lovers, but there's a lot of, like, sexism in this book, showing, like, how in the 80s women were thought to be so much less of than men, like being made fun of, XYZ. And so she is building a friendship with these different women, as they're some of the first women to go on this mission. And then it says, then in December 1984, on mission whatever, it all changes in an instant. We haven't gotten there yet, but intrigued to see where it goes. So I read this, Runaway Road by Devney Perry. It is a little series by Devney Perry. This is book 1. Me and my friend Andrea listened to this on our way back from Dallas because it's pretty short. It's only 250 pages. But in this book we have our main character London, and London comes from a pretty difficult upbringing. Her parents were both addicts, and she kind of left home when she was a teenager because they were constantly like high and whatever. She goes and starts living in this junkyard with this group of people, and they quickly become like an instant family. Fast forward to the future, London is an adult. Though she dropped out of school, she ended up getting married to a very wealthy, very powerful man who basically gave her a job in his office, and she got her GED and is able to gain like a lot of life skills that she didn't have before. However, she quickly finds out that he is cheating on her, so she leaves him. She uncovers this car, this red Cadillac, I believe, that was basically the car that she lived in for a lot of her life in the junkyard, and it kind of means a lot to her. And she is taking this vehicle on a cross-country trip to go back to the junkyard to see if she can find any of the people from her childhood. She's still friends with one of the girls, Gemma. She's another main character in this book, and she is who book 2 is about. And Gemma has really made a name for herself. She's pretty wealthy and is doing really well as well. So she wants to go to bring the car back to one of the guys that were in the group that she kind of had a thing with, because she says that the car has served its time with her and it's time for him to have it. On her way there, classic, gets into an accident, ends up in a small town where she meets this guy Brooks, and they really hit it off. It was fine. It felt like, I feel like this sounds bad. This feels like a book my mom would read. Does that make sense? Like, this feels like somebody that, like, my mom or, like, a grandma would read. Like, there was one spicy scene, and I'm glad there was only one, because with it being a short book, if there was more than one, it would have been wild. But even the one was a little bit too much for such a short book. But it was, like, cute and corny. It was, like, one step up from Hallmark. You know what I mean? It was a 3. We decided this is a 5-book series, I believe. Yes. And so we have deemed that these are going to be the books that we listen to on our drives to Dallas, because we go to Dallas about twice a year minimum, possibly more. And the audiobooks are like the perfect length of time to get us there or back. So that's where we're going to land with that. And then I did just finish reading Picking Daisies on Sundays by, who was that by? I want to say it's Liana. I was going to say Sarah. I'm going to be right at all. Liana Cincotti. So this, I think the audiobook is just coming out for it, because I was able to get the audio arc off of NetGalley, and the book's been out for years, since 2023. And so this book, this is perfect for fans of Lynn Painter, and I think that is very correct. This book, for some reason, really reminded me of Nothing Like the Movies, or Better Than the Movies, I mean. That series, whatever. It felt very immature, and I think it's because it is a childhood friends to lovers. We're getting flashbacks to when they were kids, blah, blah, blah. But in this, we've got our main character, Daniela, and our main male character, Levi. And they were friends in school, and she was secretly in love with him, but he didn't like her back, blah, blah, blah. It's all these years later. They haven't talked in years. They run into each other, and he's put in this tricky situation, and he says that she's his girlfriend. So she agrees to fake date him, and is bringing up all of these old feelings that they had for each other, so on and so forth. The reason I gave this book 3 stars is I did think it was really sweet, and there was lots of messages about, like, loss and learning to love yourself and all of those good things. But, like, the whole story was just miscommunication. Like, there really wasn't anything more to it than miscommunication. Like, from the jump, I'm like, that's what this book's gonna be. It's just gonna be a whole book of miscommunication, and that is what it was. So I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I wouldn't go out of my way, like, shooting from the rooftops for people to read it. But if somebody was like, yeah, I really like Lynn Painter, I really like Second Chance Romance, then yeah, I would suggest it, with the caveat that it is pretty much exclusively that. You know what I mean? But we're gonna continue on. I have, I think, like 6 hours and 40 minutes left in this, and I'm listening to it at 3 times speed, so it's only a few hours left. I'll probably finish this today, which would be great. 2 books down today. I'm getting back on my bullshit, baby. Let's go. Okay, guys, I should have, ooh, why did this start over? Oh no, I should have enough time to finish this book before my husband gets home from work. I think this is about where I am. So 6:45. Hopefully it continues to be good. I have like a prediction of something that's gonna happen that will absolutely upset me, and I'm saying that because of my one friend who cried during this book. It's like the only thing I can think of that would make her cry. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. Okay, guys, and just like that, this is kind of a cute angle. I don't know why I don't ever film here, but we finished 2 books. We finished both Powerless and Attachments, and there's just really something special about going from a 5-star read to a 2-star read. So let's talk about it. I read Powerless, And you know what? There was just something about this book. I already kind of explained to you what was happening, and I don't really want to say much more, but we really get to see... I wish there was a book about Harvey, which is the dad of the brothers, and I would love a story about him because he's just so funny. He, like, his lines, hilarious, but like his relationship with Jasper really just made me so emotional, and getting... Because, like, basically, we find out what happens and why Jasper's estranged from his parents. And when you, like, find that out and you learn, like, how much Harvey has really taken him in and taken care of him and shown him a love that a parent should give to their child that his parents just didn't, it was just so sweet. And getting, like, I would describe this book as a combo of Ruin the Friendship and Who's Afraid of Little Old Me by Taylor Swift, both, because obviously they were like friends. They like, it was very much the vibes, like they both liked each other and they should have just kissed forever ago. As well as Sloane is really stepping into this mode where she's sick and tired of her dad basically controlling her life and giving her life this narrative that she does not want. And she's taking back that power because everybody be feeling powerless. And it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. Was bamboozled though, because I did think it was a cowboy romance. And then I read Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. I don't know why I keep trying to make Rainbow Rowell happen for me, because I don't like her. I don't like her books. I don't like her writing. Like, I have given her a 3-star and 2 2-stars. Like, I have one more book by her. I might just unhaul it because I just don't see the point in continuing on this journey. In this book, we have these 2 friends, Beth and Jennifer. They work together, and then we have our male main character, Lincoln. Lincoln works for IT for this company, and his job is to basically weed through flagged emails to see if anything that's being flagged is actually like people breaking the rules of the office. So he starts reading these emails between Beth and Jennifer, and they're just kind of talking about their lives, blah, 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 blah. Through these emails, he starts to develop feelings for Beth. One of the girls. I literally can't even tell them apart because I did not like this book. Beth, yeah, Beth. So he really starts to like Beth and whatever. So now that he like knows that their email, like what their emails are about, he's like going out of his way to read through their emails and da. Well, Beth has like run into him a couple of times, and like she thinks he's so cute, and so her emails are like gushing about how cute she thinks he is, and it's like very stalker vibes. Like one time she sees him at the movie theater and follows him into the movie and follows him home, and it's just like very like what he's doing is unethical, what she's doing is unethical. She also has a boyfriend this whole time. He knows she has a boyfriend. She actively has a boyfriend. It's for sure cheating, and I hated it, and I gave it 2 stars. Honestly, could have given it a 1 star, but I gave it 2 to be nice. I don't know. I gave it 2 stars. Why? I don't know. I just did. But these are those 2 books that we read. What do I think is going to be next for this video? I'm thinking next up is going to be The Dead Romantics. Okay guys, here's what we're going to start next for this mood read situation is the September House. I was able to get a skip the line copy of the audiobook. I'm very confused because this book is 340 pages, but the audiobook is 10 hours long, which feels kind of crazy just based on like other books that are way longer that have like the same length or shorter audiobooks. I think it's 10 hours. I could be making that up. But I was able to get a skip the line copy of it, and you know, basically every other book that is on my current TBR, no, it's 14 hours. That's why it's weird. It's 14 hours, whereas like most books of this length are like 10 hours, so very strange. But I did get a skip the line copy, so we are going to start this, and I don't know what this is about. I know it's about a haunted house, and it has to do with like relationships. What does the back say? When Margaret and her husband Hale bought a large Victorian house on Hawthorne Street for sale at a surprisingly reasonable price, they couldn't believe they finally had a home of their own, and then they discovered the hauntings. Every September, the walls dripped blood. The ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and all of them are terrified in something that lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret's not most people. After 4 years, Margaret has learned how to live with the house. It's her house after all, but Hal can't take it anymore. He leaves abruptly, and now he's not returning her calls. And their daughter Catherine, who knows nothing about the apparitions, arrives intent on looking for her missing father. To make things worse, September has just begun, and with each attempt by Margaret and Catherine to find Hal, the hauntings grow more harrowing because there are some secrets the house needs to keep. So I've heard this is kind of gory, which I am afraid of because I simply pass out at the mention or thought of blood. So we'll see if I can even get through it. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna give it a real college try. It sounds really good. One thing about me is I love a haunted house. I love a haunted house story. So I hope this is spooky and I hope it's a good one. But let's get into it. Okay guys, I'm about halfway through the September house and I wanted to update you guys on what it's about. So basically, we have our main character, Margaret. Her husband, Hal, is missing. He left one day and has not come back. We don't really know where he went or what happened. And so, backtrack, about 5 years ago, they moved into this old Victorian house. They both kind of had lived very transient lives growing up. And then, as adults, their goal was to, like, have a house, and it just never worked out. Eventually, they stumbled upon the listing for this house that was a wildly low price for this, like, super old house, this huge beautiful house. It needed some work done, but while they're touring it, the real estate agent basically told them that she had to disclose that there was multiple deaths in the house, though they were like hundreds of years ago. They don't care. They're just so excited to move here. They buy the house, they move in. Weird things start happening kind of immediately, but they're able to chalk it up to, like, things are just discombobulated from moving in. Like, they will not be able to find something. It'll be in a weird place. And they're like, oh, well, must have just thrown it here while we were unpacking. Whatever. But then weirder things start happening. Like, just walking into the kitchen and every single cabinet being open. Walking into a room and the furniture's all rearranged. Just a bunch of walking into the kitchen and there's randomly, like, a kettle on the stove with the stove on. So they start to realize that this house obviously has some entities there, and Margaret and Hal are able to see them. And we, like, for example, there's Frederica. She literally had a gash through her head because she was hit in the head with an axe, but she was like the maid of the house, and she's still caring for the house. She's taking care of it, cleaning, cooking, all of these things. She literally starts becoming the housekeeper for them, like preparing tea, preparing supper, XYZ. And then every September, the house, I don't know what that sound is. Every September, the house gets extra creepy and blood starts oozing through the walls, and more entities arrive in September. And all of these, there's a bunch of entities of children who just point to the basement and saying he's down there. And they don't go to the basement. The basement is literally, they have it boarded up, and they have a priest come a couple times a year to, like, try to ward off the spirits, but it's believed by them that the spirit in the basement is the guy who killed all these people, and he's bad news. So Hal goes missing. She doesn't know where he is. He's been gone for like a month. Now it's September, and her daughter and her daughter's name is Catherine, and her daughter Catherine doesn't have the best relationship with her dad, but she does call her mom regularly and usually, like, wants to say hi to her dad. But it's been a month since she's been able to speak with her dad, and Margaret's kind of been like, Margaret has been trying to avoid Catherine coming because Catherine's never been to the house. They have not seen each other in like 5 years in person. But Catherine's like, Dad's missing. You're not reporting it. Like, I'm coming. So the point we're at now, Catherine is there and Margaret is trying to hide all of these weird things happening. But as September keeps getting deeper and deeper into September, she's having a harder time hiding things. Also, they unboarded the basement because she didn't know how she was going to explain that to Margaret, and that's bad news bears because the door is opening. And it's pretty spooky, and I am enjoying it so far. So far, so good. I still don't get why the audiobook is 14 hours long. It's actually wild, but it is what it is. Okay, friends, we have finished the September house, and I did end up giving this 4 stars. probably closer to a 3.5, but I'm just rounding it up to 5. We're feeling generous today. Basically, I already told you the synopsis. I don't want to tell you too much more because it is a horror slash thriller. I feel like you want the reveals to be kind of a surprise, but this, a lot of the ghosts in this haunted house were friendly. And like, if I'm reading a book about a horrifying, terrifying house with ghosts and entities, I want it to be like The Exorcist. I want it to be them to be evil and for them to be being attacked and for things to be really bad news bears. So that in itself was like a little bit of a letdown. It was not nearly as scary as I wanted it to be. Most of like the scary stuff had to do with like blood dripping in the walls and like blood dripping out of the faucets, and like just doesn't do it for me. So it wasn't really that scary at all to me personally. And additionally, there was, towards the end, I thought that this was going to take a very particular route that a lot of paranormal horror and thrillers take that literally pisses me off to no degree, and I was really worried that that's where this was going, and it started to lean that way and then did a 180, and I was very thrilled about that because I was literally going to give it 2 stars. If that was the case, it was going to get 2 stars because I was going to be angry. So I'm glad that that did not happen, but this did feel almost more of like a story of like familial growth and learning about your family and your like this mother-daughter relationship, which is fine. It's just not super what I was looking for. But I did give it a 4 stars, so it's still a pretty good rating. All of the other books that are on my TBR for other, or that are either for other videos, or I can't get the audio for them right now and I'm working, so I can't read them physically, and I'm reading something else physically that's quite long. We're just gonna go with something. And so we have got On the Bright Side by Anna Sortino. I have read her other book, which is Give Me a Sign, and she is a, I believe she herself, let me just verify. Yes. She is a deaf author who writes books about people who are deaf, which I think is amazing, supporting authors who have like these disabilities, and like being able to read a story about a disability from the voice of somebody with said disability, I think is super amazing. The first book that I read by her, Give Me a Sign, I ran honestly for like, just like randomly picked it up, and it was about this girl named Lila, and she has hearing loss, and she's like technically deaf, but she didn't feel deaf enough for the deaf community. And then it was about her going to like the summer camp, and it was amazing. I gave it 4 stars, and I still think about it. So my mother-in-law grabbed me this one off my Amazon wish list for my birthday, and this one's called On the Bright Side, and this is about Ellie, and she's deaf, and her deaf boarding school is shutting down. You can see on the cover she has a cochlear implant and he has a cane, and so she is going to mainstream public school, and it's not really been easy for her to adjust. And then we have Jackson, who's been avoiding his teammates because he's been experiencing some numbness in his legs, costing him his ability to play sports. And so I think this is going to be a super sweet story, and I love that there's like, I don't think based on Molly Burke that this is like good Braille, because it's not really raised very high, but there is some Braille on the cover, and I just feel like this author deserves more hype. So we're going to listen to this. The audio for this is only 9 hours, and I listened to it at 3 times speed, so this will get me about 3 hours. And I don't have a ton of work to do today. That's why I'm going with this one, because like I said, I don't have a ton of work to do. So that's that, and we're gonna jump in to On the Bright Side. Okay guys, this is the next book we're reading, and I feel like this will probably be the last book because I do have tons of books that I need to read for other things, but this was our October book club pick, which is Love Mom by Ileana Zander, and I just love this edition. I think it is so fun. Thriller books I feel like rarely have fun edges, and this has a really like weirdly high rating for a thriller. It has 66 chapters, and so I think I'm gonna start this tonight, because if I'm listening to an audiobook, whatever, but if I'm curling up in bed reading a thriller, it has to be dark out, and you know, it's the end of the year, so that's at approximately 6 o'clock, but we're not gonna read this till the lights go down. I did not come halfway through, but I did just finish this last night, and I don't actually think this is going to be the last book because there's still like 10 days left in the month, so here we are. Not really, but there's like, no, there's over a week left. I think like 8 days, 9 days. I don't know. But I did finish Love Mom by Liana Cincotti. This was book club for October, and I ended up giving this a 4 stars. So in this book, we've got our main character, Mackenzie, and Mackenzie's mother is a famous author. She writes thriller novels, and Mackenzie and her have kind of a bad relationship. Mackenzie's also trying to be a writer. She's very passionate about writing, and her mom is very dismissive of everything that she does. Her dad and her also don't have a great relationship. She doesn't really like any of her family. So when her mom dies, under mysterious circumstances, detectives swoop in to try to figure out if what happened to her mom was accidental or something else going on. So through the story, we start uncovering that. We really learn about her relationship with her friend EJ, and then she starts on the night of her mom's funeral getting these letters that are all signed from your #1 fan, XOXO, Gossip Girl. And they are stories in her mom's handwriting, and she kind of discovers that they're from her mom's actual journal. And they're letters to Mackenzie that she wrote to her while she was pregnant with her, kind of talking about how she got into writing, where she got her inspiration for her stories. And Mackenzie starts learning some pretty dark things about her mother through these letters. And the letters just keep on coming. So her and her friend EJ use their different sets of skills to kind of lead back to where her mom originated from, where she grew up, and find out what really happened when her mom was a kid. Was her mom part of some of these crimes that took place? Are the inspirations for her gruesome stories from her imagination, or is she taking a little bit of inspo from real life? These are all things you learn within this book. It's broken up into 3 parts. The first part is the present time in Mackenzie's point of view. Then the middle part is the past point of view of like her parents and stuff, and then we move to part 3, which is back to the present point of view. That middle section of the book I did find to be kind of boring, and at that point I was like, wow, maximum 3 stars. And there's nothing I hate more than when I'm reading a book and I'm in the middle of it and I'm like getting 3-star energy, because I just do not want to finish it, especially if I'm reading it with my eyeballs. But I powered through because it was book club, and I'm glad that I did, because in the 3rd part there were a couple of moments that brought me to like tear up a little bit, and I feel like that's very, very rare in a thriller. So with that being the case, I ended up giving this book 4 stars, and I'm pretty happy about it. If you do want to join book club, it's always linked down below. It's the most like non-committal thing. Like somehow there's like 100 people in the group, and I swear like maybe 5 people actually read the book. So there's that. But I think I just got the audio for Molly Burke's audiobook Unseen, and it's only 7 hours, so I think that'll probably be the next thing that we do in this video, and maybe that will be the end. Okay guys, I just finished, I'm gonna return it now, Molly Burke's book, and it was simply a 5-star. Truly, I was like thinking back on it, I think I've been probably following Molly for nearly 10 years. So I am, don't look at my dirty dishes, it's embarrassing. Why are we zoomed in? What is going on? So I am pretty familiar with her stories and like her thing, her personality, whatever. If you are living under a rock, Molly has a degenerative eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, and she went blind when she was 14. And well, it's like when her first major vision loss was. And having watched her online for about a bazillion years, like I knew a good portion of her story, but getting to hear her like talk about things in her book that she doesn't really talk about online, like some of the like extent of her bullying and losing her first guide dog when her first ever guide dog passed away, I was sitting at my desk bawling my eyes out. Like just tears flowing. Because it was just so sad and so heartbreaking for her. She'd already lost so much, and then to lose like her independence and her security by losing her guide dog, it was just truly heartbreaking. And so it was quite an emotional read, and I loved it. I gave it, like I said, I gave it 5 stars. And very short. It's only like 270 pages. The audio was only 7 hours, and I listened to audio at 3 times speed. So I kind of flew right on through it, but it was super good. I could honestly, like, Molly started public speaking when she was 5 years old, and I could, like, if that is her calling, I could literally listen to her speak forever. She's just very good at conveying her message, and her message is extremely important about inclusion and accessibility, which is obviously an incredibly important topic. And so she just truly is like the perfect person to be in her position, because she just has a way with speaking. And yeah, I loved it, truly. I don't know that I keep saying I think this is gonna be the end of this video, but who knows? I will definitely come on with like a formal ending, but I think the rest of this day I'm gonna be listening to a book for a different video for sure, but I don't know how long it is. I should have looked that up, but I had to get it on Everand because the wait is pretty long. Also, I highly suggest you, if you have Libby, looking up Molly's book, because I was able to get it the day, like I looked it up and I was like, oh, that came out, let me check. And I have like 6 library cards on there. And one of the 6 has like 30 copies of the book. So I would say definitely look it up and give it a listen, because it currently only has like 700 reviews, and that did surprise me with like how big her fan, I mean, it just came out, but I just figured it would have already had a bunch of reviews, but it has a really good rating so far, and I think that that's very well deserved by Molly, because it was very good. And I think she did a stellar job for somebody who isn't, like, her job is not writing novels. She may write speeches a lot, so I guess that probably helped having that kind of knowledge. I think this is probably enough dressing. If you have not been around for this salad, I am allergic to this salad dressing, but we continue on. My husband said he doesn't like the smell of it, and that the smell of the salad dressing, quote unquote, makes his eyes water. I don't really know what that means. It's a balsamic. Oh, he says it's too vinegary. I was like, it's just a balsamic vinaigrette, but he is a classic American where ranch is the only salad dressing he really eats. So a vinaigrette is not really for him, but vinaigrettes are right up my alley. But I have a big old delicious salad. I'm gonna go eat my lunch and get on with my day. Goodbye. Okay guys, this is going to be the last book that we read for this video. For real, today is the 29th of October, and this book has been on my TBR longer. There's only one other book that's been on my TBR as long as this one, and I've been waiting on the audiobook hold, and it came through this morning, so we are gonna get into The Last One by Will Dean, and I'll update you guys probably about halfway through. This video is really long, I fear, so this is a lot of chapters. 133. Okay, let's get into it.